there. This is the chapter review for Jeannie Allen's Get Out of Your Head, chapter number 12. Chapter 12 is entitled Less Important. I Choose to Serve God and Others. And this whole chapter was all about humility. She starts off talking about how she had snapped at one of the newer team members. And this is someone who had established a relationship with her. So there wasn't this banked up level of grace established there, but she felt that she had the right to just kind of lean in on the fact that most people know that's not who she is, and she justified her choice to snap at this person. And then she later was moved into the humility of the experience. And I think that a lot of times that's what happens. We get into such a mood and we feel like the people who are in our tribe, the people who are around us, the people who are supporting us, they should know. You should know that I didn't mean that. You know my character. You know who I am. You're being petty if you want to hold me accountable. But actually, it is our responsibility individually to show our humbleness and to seek forgiveness in those moments. And we can really win someone's heart when we are able to recognize those moments when we have faulted, those moments when we have spoken too soon or spoken without having the facts and responded in a way that is a reaction instead of a response, that we can own that. That's a teachable moment to show someone how to navigate when things don't go well. And so I look forward to situations. I don't create a chaos or create challenges, but when you have conflict, it's a beautiful opportunity for you to level your relationship and take it to another level of understanding, because it's within that you really get to see the humanity of the other person. And so she spends some time talking through that, and also again that thought spiral that was provided on page number 150. And on that page, starting with the emotion of anger, if you filter that through, I choose to serve God and others, then it allows you to move into selflessly serving others and not, focusing on yourself. But if you start with the emotion of anger and you don't filter it through the heart of service, on the outcome of that, you're going to end up with the emotion of being angry. And so we have to make sure that we're filtering our emotions, and especially when it's anger or being upset, that we filter that through the heart of serving others. She talked about the fact that we weren't meant to be the center of our own worlds. We were placed here to serve. And when we get that turned around, when we get that out of order, that's when we misuse and abuse relationships. So it's important that we keep in mind that if we're following after the example that Christ set before us, then we are servants. And if we want to inform and to teach and to example that for others and be a servant leader as Christ was, it's not thinking less of yourself. It's thinking of yourself less often. And so that you're putting the center and the attention on pouring into others. And she later then speaks about that when she had cooled herself down and she went to speak to the person, that person asked for time because she had upset that individual. And so I thought that was a wonderful example of recognizing that, yeah, we don't have to pretend like we're not feeling a certain kind of way. If you're feeling that way, it's wise to acknowledge it. And that's how you can navigate through conflict well. And that it is important that we remain humble and that we're able to connect to the person and recognize the value of that person and how Christ sees them and the way that we can see them. And so that was a beautiful example of how she humbled herself and came back to the young lady that she had spoken to harshly. And so just a wonderful example for us to follow, that there are going to be exchanges that you have to go back later and apologize for. And the goal is not to try to live a life where that never happens, because again, we're human, but it is what happens and how do you filter those choices and that anger and those emotions through. What's your thought spiral? And that thought spiral is filtering through, I choose to serve God and others. Being humble allows us to treat others the way that Christ would treat them. There are times where we would choose to deal more harshly with someone than Christ would. And so it is important that we not apply our own judgment and we not apply our own consequences to individuals if it's not filtered through the example that we have through Christ. And so understanding where a person is and their circumstances, and showing them that we're serving them first before we are out seeking to apply consequences and punishments. I want to share how she chose to conclude the chapter. I love the last sentence. It says, "Father, help me choose the pleasure of humility today." And it is a pleasure to serve God and others. I look forward to continuing reading with you. If you would please go ahead and make comments so we can share in our thoughts about this chapter. I also invite you to visit the website, www.rosesandthorns.org. And you know what to do when you get there. Once you're there, choose the Roses and Thorns link. And once you're there, it'll open up a drop-down list, select book club, and there you'll find all the printables and resources. I look forward to continuing to read with you to chapter 13.